Seneca once said, "In everything that happens to you or angers you, remember there is only one bad thing, your complaint about it. And if you ask me, I believe a person has no misfortunes except those he makes for himself. I will not be unbearable to myself on the day when I cannot endure something." Falling ill is the lot of humanity. People deceive me, rob me, betray me, or I face setbacks at work. These are all ordinary occurrences, and what's more, they are inevitable and predestined, not random. If you have even a little faith in me, I will reveal to you the most intimate feelings towards everything that seems hostile and burdensome. I simply don't resist fortune. I agree with it and wholeheartedly follow it. I won't accept anything that happens to me with a sad or angry face. There is no tax I pay against my will. The setbacks we encounter and complain about are merely the taxes of life. I was struck by this metaphor of a life tax. If you think about it, from the moment of our birth, we are doomed to constant collisions with injustice, losses, and pain. Ultimately, we are destined for our own death. At the same time, we get irritated, angered, and outraged when something or someone disrupts our plans. We wish everything were different. We are upset when things go awry. Our reactions are always the same. We are overwhelmed by fear, despair, confusion, helplessness, and depression. We start blaming others, politicians, our parents, who supposedly didn't give us something in our time. But the only thing we can truly blame is our attitude toward difficulties. Instead of complaining and whining about the unavoidable, Seneca suggests treating it as a tax on life, a natural payment for our unique opportunity to live. In reality, this payment applies to everything we do. Waiting is a tax on the journey. Gossip and rumors incur taxes, and fame comes with its own set of taxes. Even the happiest, most solid relationships require payment in the form of disagreements and stress taxes that must be paid, even for the most blissful unions. Seneca expressed that true happiness lies in being content with the present, whatever it may be. It's about refraining from complaints and having the ability to accept any circumstance that befalls you. Happiness, according to Seneca, is found in embracing your destiny. Epictetus echoed a similar sentiment, emphasizing that one should not demand events to unfold as desired, but rather accept them as they are. In doing so, one can find true happiness. Centuries later, Friedrich Nietzsche summarized this philosophy with his formula for greatness: amor fati, the love of fate. To desire nothing else, neither in the past nor the future, for all eternity, is not just to endure necessity, but to openly embrace it. Amor fati, or the love of fate, is one of the most powerful and liberating ideas, not only in Stoicism, but in any philosophy. Loving one's fate means taking any situation you find yourself in and turning it into something positive: enjoyment, enthusiasm, or simply acceptance. These are the qualities that characterize amor fati in everyday life. Marcus Aurelius likened your attitude toward life to fire. You master it by throwing whatever is thrown into this fire. A small candle can be instantly extinguished, but a massive, blazing flame can turn anything into fire while burning even brighter and stronger. It's easy to accept good times, but when challenging times come, each of us must transform into that metaphorical blazing fire. Love for fate, like many Stoic concepts, sounds simple enough, but applying this philosophy in real life requires a great deal of practice. Stoics aimed to cultivate acceptance of everything that happened to them, acknowledging the inevitability of many events. Most events occur without our consent, and we can either love or at least accept everything that happens or resist. However, fate will still pull us along, much like a dog tied to a cart desperately resisting, only to be dragged through the muddy ground, or it can peacefully run alongside the cart by embracing its destiny. Cleanly said, the submissive follow fate, while the rebellious are dragged by it. It is essential to note that this doesn't mean giving up and resigning oneself. Turning to the German philosopher, let's recall Max Stirner's quote, "The rock blocking my path, I bypass until I gather enough gunpowder to blow it up." The principle of amor fati is about not resisting things beyond our control, but courageously accepting them before initiating change. A remarkable example of this principle is seen in the story of Thomas Edison. Once, returning home from work slightly earlier than usual, he found his laboratory on fire. Instead of panicking, he calmly approached the fire, telling his son, "Call your mom and her friend. They will never see such a beautiful fire again." While Edison's composed reaction might seem surprising, any alternative would have been futile. Rather than complaining about fate, Edison decided to start something new. He noticed that the fire lacked light and in that moment conceived the idea of creating portable projectors. This story illustrates how we can accept destructive events and extract maximum benefit from them, striving to prevent their recurrence. Often, destruction clears the space for greater fortune. Much was raised to make way for the magnificence of Temujin, who harbored a deep hatred for Rome. He claimed that a fire in the capital saddened him for one simple reason. He knew that everything burnt would be rebuilt even higher and more beautiful from the ruins. Even Stoicism emerged through catastrophe. Once, in the late 4th century BCE, the Phoenician merchant Zeno set sail across the Mediterranean on a ship laden with expensive purple dye. On that fateful day, Zeno lost everything. His ship crashed against the rocks, and the precious cargo sank into the sea. The tragedy could have been the end of his story, pushing him into despair or even suicide. However, he chose to start anew. Zeno accepted the situation and began working on himself. If he had acted differently, you might not be watching this video now, as Stoicism might never have existed. Later, reflecting on the loss of his fortune, Zeno said, "The shipwreck laid the foundation for my most fortunate journey." This story is worth telling repeatedly, not without reason. Perhaps you've just learned that your wife is leaving you, or you've been robbed, or you've lost your job, hobbies, lifestyle. These losses cause pain on financial, emotional, and psychological levels. It's not much different from how Zeno felt after his shipwreck. Anyone experiencing such circumstances feels the pain. Yet, destabilizing events aren't necessarily bad. They wake up our consciousness and force us to change. Remember what Tyler Durden said in Fight Club, "It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything." Demetrius Kinias called a peaceful life the Dead Sea, having no reason to be stirred up, no knowledge of threats or attacks that would test one's spirit. It's not true peace, it's a stagnant calm. Often, after achieving some success, we relax and stand still, unaware that the rules of the game are changing and our strategies are becoming obsolete. Then usually a devastating fall occurs, which can either break us or make us better. The plot of the third part of the iconic movie Rocky comes to mind. Rocky relaxes, unaware of the threat posed by the promising challenger Lang, who soon shamefully knocks him out. After his defeat, Rocky rises from the ashes, completely changing his fighting style, allowing him to take revenge. This stunning setback made him even better and stronger. As Seneca said, "Fortune may undermine us, but we won't surrender. We rise with even greater fervor and stand firm." Ulysses S. Grant sold firewood in the city center, a situation that could have been a complete failure for a graduate of the oldest U.S. academy. When confronted by a former classmate with disdain asking, "Grant, what are you doing here?" his confident response was simple, "I'm solving the problem of poverty." Although Grant never chose such a situation, he didn't let it negatively impact him. What's the point of hating oneself for working for food? Later, Grant led the army and became the 18th President of the United States. Mark Aurelius said, "Look closely at the essence of our affairs. In reality, they are by name, and then you will find that most of our troubles are due to luck." Misfortune often became the cause of the beginning of happiness. Strong people use obstacles as fuel for their goals. Former Intel CEO Andy Grove explained how different companies fare in difficult times. Bad companies collapse, good companies survive, and outstanding companies emerge stronger. The Stoics had a wonderful metaphor. Just as a beast tamer compels even the fiercest and most dangerous animals to obedience, a wise person tames adversity and suffering, not considering them as prisons or betrayals. When facing a sage, these challenges become lessons and a way to become stronger. As Robert Greene wrote, our life inevitably includes various disappointments, sufferings, and separations. Our goal is to willingly accept all obstacles as lessons, as a way to become stronger. Actress Joan Crawford achieved considerable success in Hollywood, but was dismayed by the limited range of roles offered to her. She observed others as passing her, even less talented actresses. Taking the initiative, she expressed her concerns to a producer, not anticipating it would be seen as audacious. Consequently, she was offered a role in a low-budget western, well aware that it was the last thing she desired. Such a fate became a career deadlock for many actresses, but Joan embraced the lesson. She decided to embrace her fate willingly, making herself love the genre. She became an expert writer, delved into literature about the Wild West, and if necessary for career advancement, she resolved to become the best actress in the Western genre. This mindset, at the very least, allowed her to expand her acting range. Every setback was seen as an opportunity to grow and develop. Eckhart Tolle remarked that the ego loves to complain and become indignant, not only about other people, but also about various situations. Situations can be turned into enemies. It often involves the same recurring thoughts. This shouldn't be happening. I don't want to be here, or this isn't fair. The present moment presents us with a crucial choice. Either resist it, wishing it were different, or accept it as it is. If, like most people, we choose the former, we spend a significant part of our lives dissatisfied. The latter choice allows us to enjoy the moment. Tolle used the metaphor that closed shutters prevent light from entering. Thus, to benefit from unexpected advantages, we must first accept unexpected disadvantages. To make the most of unforeseen benefits, we must first accept unforeseen disadvantages. Unfortunately, our insatiable nature leads us to instinctively think that things would be better if they were different. We start dreaming about what we would prefer, without considering how much worse things could be. The situation can always be worse. Losing money might mean losing a friend. Losing a job could be losing a limb. Losing a home might mean losing everything. Yet, we still complain that something has been taken away from us, and we fail to appreciate what we have. Marcus Aurelius mentioned several times in his Reflections the famous Epicurean phrase, "War is never an enduring good, nor endless evil, so long as you remember that every adversity has its limits and you do not exaggerate them in your imagination." Donald Robertson refers to this as depreciation of through analysis to help people cope with loss. He directs their attention to the awareness that their painful feelings have a temporary nature or that things could be much worse. Remembering that what happens now is what's coming, events in your life, whether good, bad, beautiful, tragic, or horrifying, swiftly pass by. None of them is stable, as each eventually disappears in the ebb and flow of time. Marcus Aurelius wrote that it is beneficial to remember how quickly everything passes and changes, and that what is now, whatever the circumstances, will not remain stable. Every moment could be the last, so we need to constantly remind ourselves of this fact. Then it becomes easier to recognize how foolish it is to waste our limited time resisting what is inevitably. In an ancient Sufi parable, a king in the Middle East who fluctuated between happiness and depression sought a solution to his discontent. Tired of the swinging pendulum of his emotions, he asked a wise man in his kingdom for help. The sage returned after a few weeks with a beautifully crafted box containing a golden ring. Inscribed on the ring were the words, "This too shall pass." Solon was puzzled and asked the sage how these words could bring him peace. The wise man replied that the ring should be touched when facing challenging situations or enjoyed during moments of happiness. By doing so, the king would always feel internal peace, knowing that both difficulties and joys are temporary and transient. The inscription on the ring does not urge us to give up the joys that life brings us, nor is it meant to console us in moments of suffering. This inscription has a deeper purpose, to prompt us to realize the centrality in every life situation, driven by the impermanence of both positive and negative aspects. When we become aware that nothing in this world is permanent, our attachment to external factors diminishes. The Stoics were masters at using analogies to strengthen their arguments. Marcus Aurelius noted how readily we accept the unpleasant when we perceive it as part of our healing process. For instance, when a doctor prescribes bitter medicine or a painful injection, we comply with these directives. Seneca said that the wise person always looks at the ultimate goal. The beginning is within our control, and what happens is determined by fortune. Victory in war may depend on our actions and motivation, but the outcome is often unpredictable. It's crucial to recognize that the journey itself is as important as the goal we strive for. By accepting our fate, we can act wisely, acknowledging that not everything is within our power, and some obstacles may prove insurmountable. Like a card game, we may lose, but it's essential to understand that not everything is in our hands. General Eisenhower once said, "We have done all that we could do. The troops are ready, and everything possible has been done. The rest is in the hands of fortune." Instead of being attached to the outcome, it's vital to set the right goal and do everything within our power, leaving the rest to fortune. We need to become humble and flexible enough to acknowledge that someone or something can always change our plans. As Duke Ellington said, "Problems are our chance to do our best." We must be ready to roll the dice and accept failure. We must be prepared for the fact that not everything will work out. Sometimes, no amount of planning, thinking, diligence, or patience will alter the fact that some things simply won't work. It's crucial not to get attached to the end result. I'll conclude today's video with the words of Seneca. "He is free who is prepared to face the unexpected. He is not free who resists it." Love your fate, and let these words be your compass. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. It greatly helps in promoting the channel. Goodbye, and until we meet again.